Alrighty, well, all right. What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Vest to Vest. I'm back at it again, and this week I'm in LA, and I'm gonna have a sit down and a chat with one of my buddies, Emilio. So, Emilio, how you been?
I've been living life, bro. That's about all I can say. I've just been experiencing as much as I could experience.
Okay.
And I think that's good.
I like that. And I know, we go way back since freshman year in college, right? Some of the things that come to mind, at least when I think about people coming from LA to Cleveland to school, right? Is that because Case Western is not a very popular school. So, how did you hear about Case during high school and all that?
Yeah, the reason I found out about Case was because I was in a program called College Match.
College Match, okay.
And it wasn't even a counselor, it was like a friend of one of the counselors who, he was a counselor at like some super rich like private school.
Okay.
And he was like he joined us on one of the trips that we took because we used to take trips to different colleges. We took one big trip like to the East Coast. We visited like 10 different colleges in that one trip.
Okay.
And he would advise us, so he recommended it to me, and he told me there was no extra, like sometimes you gotta do extra essays and stuff.
Yes, sir.
So since there was nothing extra, I decided why not. And that was how I found out about it. It wasn't something that I went out of my way to look for. It was just kind of presented to me.
Okay, that makes sense. So now, after going through Case, doing your bachelor's, now your master's, and moving on to working. When I say the word Case, what comes to mind?
I think about technology.
Okay.
I think a little bit about like Cleveland and like the winters.
Yeah.
Just academics.
Okay.
Those things generally come to mind.
All right, so I've been in LA, man. I see the weather that you guys have here, the views, and I'm saying Cleveland. All the way from here to Cleveland, man. I kind of now know how you felt back in college days comparing Cleveland to here, in LA. What were some of your what were some of the differences that you experienced, coming all the way from LA to Cleveland for school?
Yeah, for myself personally, it wasn't even like there was obviously like the disparity between LA and Cleveland.
Yeah.
In terms of like the weather and the fact that Cleveland is a much smaller city.
Yes, sir.
Than LA, so I felt like there was not much to do. But I think most of my experience was shaped by like the particular neighborhood that I grew up in rather than the fact that I came from Los Angeles.
Okay.
So the neighborhood I grew up in was like 99% Hispanic.
Okay.
And so much so that like I would say over 50% of the stores that you went to, like they spoke Spanish before they spoke English.
Okay.
So growing up in a place like that, like you can imagine it's a different experience. And I don't know, I had certain views about like about myself and about like white people.
Yeah.
And going to a higher education institution, especially somewhere in Cleveland, Ohio.
You got that right.
You're definitely gonna encounter like people outside of your race. And I had like certain biases going into it, but it wasn't even like I was racist. It was more like I thought other people was racist towards me.
Okay.
And I had that preconception that I would place upon people, and so I would say that like that was like the main thing that shaped my perception of my college experience initially, because obviously like you interact with people and you get over it. But that was a big part of the initial like difference that I saw.
I see. And then did you also see like a drastic difference maybe between the high school level education that you had here and the education that you had at Case?
Yeah, the education level is different, especially because I came from like a public school in like a low income neighborhood.
Yeah.
Where there's not much expectations, first of all.
Exactly. Okay.
For myself, the expectations were there because they came from my family, but like being in a place like that, like going to college itself is already like an achievement.
Yes, sir.
You know? So yeah, and then like the level of rigor academically, of course, is different.
Exactly.
I never knew about like office hours or like, I don't know, having a relationship with your instructor.
Yeah.
Like if it happened like as a what's it called? Like an aside. But you know, in college it's more like a focus. In college it's more like a focus where you kind of have to have a rapport.
Yep.
Because you go to office hours and generally like you're not going to understand something the first time, like you have to ask for help and stuff. So all those things like I definitely wasn't familiar with.
Yeah.
And I had to learn, but I mean it was doable.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, and what was the rapport like between you and your professors? I mean, because you said, you know, in college, you did find yourself maybe frequenting office hours.
Depends on the professor, but generally, I'd say like I'm more comfortable than most like talking to people.
Yeah.
She's just gonna get crazy if you give her attention.
Oh,
so,
okay.
I'm more comfortable than most, especially at somewhere like Case. Like it's a lot of like, well, somewhere like Case specifically because, as you know, like I was in computer science, and most computer science majors are not very social.
Oh yes.
So
we're gonna get there at some point.
Yeah. So I mean, compared to my peers, I would say I was very social. So the rapport was easy. Like it was just, I think they were just happy to have somebody who was somewhat social. Like
I see.
They were just really chill, you know.
Yeah.
So it was easy to create a connection and establish relationships.
Interesting. So I mean, was it like you said, you know, computer scientists, you know, they're not known for being the most social people in the world, right? So in your perspective, you know, when you were there, was it more so the students, you know, that perhaps weren't more social, or was it the professors? I mean, because I would imagine after all these years of lecturing and, you know, office hours and all that, the professors, even if they weren't, you know, that social, would have gotten over that hurdle. So if I had to guess, I'd probably say, you know, it'd be at this point more so the students than the professors. Was that what you saw as well?
Yeah, I would say so. There was definitely some professors that like, there was a younger one, not even him, he was like more, he tried, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they all tried a little bit, but yeah, some of the students, it was like, I don't know, like they completely did not care like about social interaction, and they were just there to get it over with.
Yeah.
And like go to class, get it over with, and that's it. Like, you know, which I mean, I don't even have a problem with. Personally, it's a reality of the circumstance, you know. Like,
yes,
just like that's how it is. So.
Okay. And then also computer science. Some of the courses, you know, that makes up the whole coursework for computer science can be incredibly brutal, right? So do you recall a specific instance or a situation where you took a class and then, you know, maybe you find yourself sitting in a class thinking, man, what the heck am I doing in this class, man? You know?
I wouldn't say like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
But, well, actually, you know what? It wasn't even computer science. It was my first year. I took an advanced physics course.
Oh.
Because, you know, I had taken honors and AP classes. Like, I had taken all the hardest classes in high school.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I mean, because I saw myself as like an advanced student.
Yes, sir.
So I'm like, man, I'll just take the advanced physics course in college.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the same thing, man.
Ooh, man, oh man.
So it was advanced in the sense of like comparing a regular physics class to that advanced physics class. It'd be like you already understand everything there is to understand in the regular physics class.
Ooh,
so we're gonna teach you like advanced theory, like assuming that you already know everything.
Yeah.
So basically it's like a whole nother class in front of it, you know, like it'd be like the next course. But these are things that you wouldn't even learn like
in high school.
In high school, but also like taking a regular college physics course, like you wouldn't learn these things. Okay. They were teaching like I said, like advanced theories that you don't even need to know, but it's just like fun to know.
Oh.
But to me, it was like, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, I mean, I experienced that where like I'm like, damn, like this class isn't for me.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. That was the one time, but in a computer science course, I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, like freshman year, I mean, people are coming from all over, even beyond the U.S., right? People are coming from all across the globe, right? So what was your experience maybe making friends, and how was that like? Was it a process that you enjoyed?
Um, I would say I gravitated towards people that felt familiar,
Yeah.
which to me it was like the hood people. So yeah, my initial friend group was like based around the fact that we all smoke weed.
Yeah.
But honestly, I didn't even put much effort into it because I went with Diego. Diego's a mutual friend.
Yes, sir.
And Diego was the one that was more worried about creating friendships. So I kind of just like let him do that and then joined in afterward. But yeah, that's just naturally what it turned into is like we connected because of our bad habits, I would say.
Okay.
And yeah.
And then beyond maybe the hood sort of personas that you gravitated towards initially, over the years, assuming that was basically freshman year, right? Over the years, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, did you find yourself maybe extending those borders a bit, and making friends beyond that hood persona?
Yeah. I would say it was because I became more academic focused.
Yeah.
I mean, I became completely academic focused. Like,
Right.
like I completely shut off that initial friend group. I mean, I didn't like
Shut them off, like.
intentionally, be
Yeah.
like, nah, I can't, like get away from me. It was more just like I was busy. I was always busy because I was
Right.
focused on school.
Okay.
That was after the first year because I got put on academic probation and I had to.
Yeah.
But yeah, once I became academic focused, then I would say I did create more relationships because I was in that mindset, and that's like the mindset that almost everyone is in. It's like,
Right.
I want to succeed. So yeah, it was easier to connect. Like I said, I really didn't even try. Like it just kind of happens naturally.
Okay.
But I ended up connecting with people because I was like success focused, and other people were also like success focused.
Okay. And I mean, some people would say that Case is solely academic, based school, right? I mean, they do have sports though, but I mean, Casey's sports is not going to be compared to Ohio State or any other statewide kind of school. So what were some of your favorite things to do on campus beyond the academics?
Favorite things? I
Yeah.
can't even say anything was a favorite. Like,
Ooh.
bro, I'm telling you, like when I get focused,
Yeah.
like right now, even in my life, like I'm super focused. I like to say that there's no fun allowed.
Are you serious?
Although I play video games, so I can't. That's kind of hypocritical, but in terms of like going out and doing stuff, like there's nothing for me to do right now. And at that time, it was like even more so. Like there was no parties. Like I don't know. Maybe I guess hanging out with my girlfriend. I would
Yeah.
say I could say that. Yeah, at the time because I had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
So if she would come visit, or I would go visit like on breaks. I would say that's the only thing that I had that I was like looking forward to, like that I really enjoyed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, for sure. And then you studied, I mean, we've mentioned this before, you studied computer science. And then afterwards, you took up a job. Before that, right, while you were studying, I remember you traveled to Europe.
Yeah.
Was that like a study abroad, or I mean, what was that?
No, I mean, I went twice. The first time I went was to visit that same girlfriend. 'Cause
Okay.
She was studying abroad.
Yeah.
The second time I went was to visit another friend. I had already graduated at that point.
Okay.
I visited another friend who was studying abroad at that time. So both times it was just to visit someone and just to have fun.
Okay. I mean, so what was the European experience? Was that the first time traveling to Europe?
Yeah, the first time was, and I mean the first time it was like, let me see. I wouldn't say the first time is a good gauge because
Yeah.
it was more focused around me visiting my girlfriend rather than me exploring Europe.
Okay.
The second time I would say was more about exploration. So I could say that time, let's see, and you're asking like what is Europe like? Like what did I feel?
Yeah, like how did you feel compared to the U.S., right?
Okay.
Because I mean these are supposed to be the diaspora series, so we're trying to get a glimpse of the differences between, say, the U.S., Europe, Africa. Eventually I'm probably going to interview someone who's going to Asia, right, and then get that perspective as well. But yeah.
So my perspective about Europe versus here would be, people are definitely more relaxed,
Okay.
less focused on like career and business and shit like that. Like more focused on just enjoying life and shit.
Yeah.
And that's why they're more relaxed, I would say.
Okay.
Especially in Spain, which is one of the places that I went to the most. And I would say because of that, because they're more relaxed, their worldview and their like the way they treat people is also like more accepting and more chill.
Yeah.
Because they're so like not uptight. You know?
Right.
So I would say that's like the main characteristic that is like the most different.
Okay.
I would also say, oh yeah, one thing that I think about is like the architecture.
The architecture. Okay.
Yeah. So actually, this is also true for West Coast versus East Coast. I've noticed this before. Like, and this is just because the places are older. So like for example,
Out on the East Coast.
yeah, the East Coast is older. It was established before the West Coast.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of older buildings.
Okay.
Like from like colonial times and shit.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Okay.
And I mean, you know about like framing, the concept of psychological concept of framing.
I've heard of it before, but I'm not too sure if I know the ins and outs of it.
For example, there's this idea that I'm not even sure if this framework. There's this idea that like if you put a painting in a room where like it has eyes, whether it's an animal or a person, and the eyes are looking directly at you, it causes people to behave because they feel like they're being watched subconsciously, even though if they don't think about it. Like, so these subtle things affect us in that way. That's just one example, right? But I guess we could even like theorize what the effect would be in this case, which is what I'm saying, that the architecture is older, and to me it's like nicer. It's like more prestigious.
So you like the more old sort of architecture?
I mean, yeah, like I'm saying, like compare this like apartment building. Like this is, I don't know, fairly modern. I guess you could find some beauty in this, but I don't think this was created with like heart, versus like a fucking castle or like a chapel or something like that.
I see what you're saying.
Or just like an old university, you know how they have like just fucking beautiful like aesthetics.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that the East Coast compared to the West Coast, and then Europe even more so than the East Coast, has a lot of these like aesthetics and buildings.
I see.
Because they're so old, and when they were created, it was created by like artists and shit,
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So those buildings were created, I think they were created, there was a great deal of emphasis put on aesthetics, right? Whereas of now, there's this idea of sustainability and simplicity.
And economic, like you're thinking about the cheapest building you can make.
Exactly,
like trying
right.
to make the most money out of these commercial buildings especially.
Yep. So it makes sense. It makes sense. I'm sure someone can make the argument otherwise, but in a sense. But anyways, another thing that I've heard is that if you take, for instance, a computer science degree, a great deal of the electives, is it even electives or the requirements, but the freshman courses, right? They're composed of maybe calculus, physics 1, physics 2, all these other, theoretical classes. And the idea is that, I mean, how practical, right, is a physics for to a computer science degree? I'm asking you personally, based off your opinion, right? How practical, or even going off and working at, say, Amazon or wherever you've worked at, right? How much would you say that the theoretical classes that you took have come into play?
Computer science theoretical, or are you talking about physics?
Like the physics, I mean, I would imagine the computer science one would be, of use, right? But the freshman, I forget what they were called. Is that the required classes?
Yeah, like general education.
Yeah, the general, like those classes, like the calculus one, all the way, people took it all the way to 4, I think, differential equations and all that.
I did, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So how beneficial, right, has those classes been to your experience in the workforce? At least when you were a part of the workforce.
In the workforce?
Yeah.
In the workforce, I would say less. But Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about because the type of work I did didn't necessarily require like some high level math,
Okay.
but in terms of like I've done some personal projects where, for example, I had to create like a fake data set
Okay.
for the most recent project that I did,
Yes, sir.
and I used like some statistics, some more complicated statistics, because I was like generating like fake names, fake what's it called, like deposits and withdrawals, within a certain range and with a certain like what's it called, like characteristic to it. Like it can't be like a million and then one. You know,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I was trying to find a model that would fit like the data that I was trying to create.
Right.
So just having the prior knowledge of I took intro to probability,
Yes, sir.
and knowing like statistical models and like how they work, I could look through them and understand what the library was saying. You know?
Yeah.
So I say like they definitely can be, but it's just like the jobs that I actually had like didn't require it so
Okay.
much. So it depends on what you do, but I definitely see the case where they can be useful.
I see. So you would say that, although maybe not directly practical in the works that you did, it might have helped you, in how to think, or, maybe even thinking well, so that if you face something new, you could use some of the skills that you use to maybe conquer those classes into conquering maybe the new challenges that you face.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, so what?
I'm saying like the actual math could be useful.
Okay.
It depends. Like sometimes the computer science work that you do could require that type of math.
Okay.
But it just depends on the project.
All right.
You know. But what you're saying is also true. That like you do develop a mindset for solving problems.
Yeah.
But I think that mindset, like, would it necessarily have to come from general ed? Like you can get that from computer science courses. I would think even more so than general ed.
Okay. All right. So I mean, you graduated Case. You decided to do your master's as well. What what were some of the factors that prompted you to do the master's at Case as well?
Because a master's degree is nice, and because I was already going to graduate late.
Yeah.
So if I did the master's degree in addition to the bachelor's degree, I could have graduated on time.
Yeah.
Because it would have taken 5 years, which
Okay.
I would have taken 4.5 anyway. So that was why.
Okay. And then graduated and then took up a job, right? How was that job experience like? And also, would you say that the case education prepared you sufficiently for that work?
The first job, let's see. So I mean, I worked for Amazon right after college as a software development engineer, they call it. And it's like I said, like it really depends. Well, okay, so for me, even like that's what I'm saying. Like I guess what I realized is that there's so vast of a difference in like scope and like what you actually do as a software engineer.
Yeah.
That I don't know. It's almost like if you don't know exactly what field you're going to work in, like exactly what language you're going to use, what libraries you're going to use, and everything. If you don't know ahead of time, like you're never going to be prepared. Like you have to learn on the fly. You have to learn when you get the job.
Okay.
I'd say I was, well, yeah, I guess you do apply like with certain experiences or qualifications, but I don't know, there's always more to learn. But yeah, so for me, I took a job, I was writing code in Java, which is what I had studied most of my education in.
Yeah.
So I'd say that was good for me. That made it a lot easier for me. And I was writing back-end code, which I had no prior experience in.
Yeah.
And the difficulty in working at Amazon was not even like, I would say it was less about like my computer science knowledge and more so about like learning their tools, because they have like an entire ecosystem of like of coding tools
Yeah.
that you have to learn before you even write any code.
Right.
For Git, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they have, for example, something like Git or something like Docker. I don't know if you know Docker, but
Yeah, I know Docker.
they have
Oh my gosh.
they have like their own completely custom versions of all of those things.
Oh wow.
So you have to learn all that before you can even start, you know. So, and yeah, so that's unique to my experience because I worked at Amazon. So I'd say, and I think any bigger company like Amazon would have like a lot of custom tools like that.
Yeah.
So that was my experience. Is that I had to learn a lot of proprietary custom tools and stuff, and that was all new.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long does the training take, for you, I guess, to learn what the Amazon proprietary tools were before you started the job?
Honestly, I don't remember exactly how long, but I would say they probably give you like a month to study on your own because they have like courses and stuff that you go through.
Yeah.
2 weeks to a month, definitely at least.
Okay.
And then probably within the second month, you might be looking at like writing some basic, like very basic things like in the code base just to get acclimated to it.
Yeah.
And then maybe this is just I don't remember exactly, but an estimate, I would say probably like by the third month, you might be writing like real code.
Okay, I see.
But even then, like my manager told me that in your first year, you have like the new guy card.
Okay, so you can make mistakes.
You could make mistakes and they won't like judge you too harshly for it.
Okay.
And you can ask all these dumb questions and they'll be like, all right, he's new, you know?
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, you better use it. Make sure you use it because once you lose that card, like that's it. Like people
Are gonna
not
judge
gonna
you.
have that patience anymore, you know? Like because you're not new. Like you've been here for like a year. Like why are you asking? Why are you taking my time? You should be able to do this shit. Like that type of thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think they do give you room in the beginning to ask all these questions and get acclimated because they understand that, like I said, the chances of you coming in fully prepared are very low.
Okay.
You're most likely gonna have to learn a lot of things.
Okay. So I mean, I'm pretty sure Amazon is not the only company that you worked for, right?
Right.
What can you compare, the different company cultures, and maybe some of the pros and cons? I mean, something like that.
I worked at another company in Santa Barbara. It was a smaller startup company, and it was like what's it called? A software as a service thing that they sold to like other businesses.
Yeah.
The startup was, let's see, I don't know. They had the facade of being more chill,
But it wasn't.
but under this facade, they were working just as hard as the people at Amazon were working. And there was just as much like expectation as there was at Amazon, because there's a lot of expectation for you to like do your work and do extra, like do as much as you can all the time, essentially. You know. So I think that was present there as well, just as much as it was at Amazon. And other than that, but like I said, there was a facade, so there was like unlimited PTO. but if you take it, if you take a break longer than 2 weeks, they're like, yo, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
get back to work, right? So yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So now we're gonna, branch off because you, after working, for the corporate world for maybe a certain duration of time, decided that now you've had enough. You're gonna go your own way and basically trade, and more so, I guess more specifically, do Forex trading. What prompted, that change? I mean, because some would say that that's a drastic change, right?
Yeah.
After going through your bachelor's program, your master's program, and then coming out, and some would say benefiting, milking the heck out of those 2 degrees. Now you decide to do Forex trading, which I'm pretty sure doesn't, you don't need those 2 degrees to do, right? So what prompted that change?
Well, I always knew I wanted to do my own thing. I didn't know what it was. But early into my time at Amazon, I decided it would be trading.
Trading?
Because I looked into what my options were.
Okay.
And the reason that trading appealed to me was because you don't have to talk to anyone.
Okay.
I had realized from my work experience that I don't want to talk to anyone or depend on anyone for anything.
Okay.
For example, like it can go two ways. It can go like, it can go many ways, I guess. Like, your manager expects something of you. So you already have like this expectation and this list of things that you have to do.
Yeah.
That you have not decided for yourself, but they have decided for you.
Okay.
So your work is decided for you. The next is like, if I'm doing some work and I need something that I don't have access to, somebody else has access to, and I gotta ask them like, hey, I need this thing, can you help me out?
Yeah.
Now I have to wait on them to have time or to feel like fucking giving me that thing that I need so I can continue to do my work. So now I'm waiting on someone else. So somebody else is telling me what to do, and then I can't do what I have to do until somebody else does something else. It's just so many layers.
Dependencies.
of dependency, yeah.
Okay.
And then also like, let's say you open a restaurant.
Yeah.
You have customers.
Yep.
These are this is basically what gives your restaurant life, right?
Yes.
So you have to some degree appease these people, and so to some degree you're also like dependent in that situation because you're dependent on your clientele, and like if you make them unhappy, you have no business.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at all these things, I'm like, man, like what else is there? And then I realized with trading, it's just you, a computer screen, and that's it. Like, what the fuck else is there? There's nothing else, bro. So I really like that because I know I've always kind of known that like where I thrive is where I can just be focused on my own without distractions. And like nobody's bothering me. I don't have to ask for anything from anybody. Like I could just, as long as like I have the resources I need to succeed, I can go fully into it and succeed. And it's all dependent on me. It's all about whether I do it or not. So and that's like my favorite place to be in.
Okay.
So that's what I liked about trading, and that's why I chose it.
Okay. And I know, people who trade, a number of people, at least some of the successful traders, all have some sort of, guiding principle, right? Do you have any sort of strategies or principles that you've come to maybe devise or even distill from the many years of trading?
Principle? What do you mean, like a life principle, or
like you're trading, like more so like that? Do you any fundamental strategies that or technical analysis, right, that you may use to do your trading? Maybe your decision process, right? If you understand that, is there a set of maybe like an algorithm, right, as to how you decide what to trade, when to trade, and all that, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I have a whole strategy, a whole method of choosing because I trade one pair at a time, essentially.
Okay.
Which is like, if you're talking about stocks, it's only one stock at a time, essentially.
Yeah.
And I'll be looking at that for like 2-3 weeks, a month, maybe a couple months, even depending on how it looks like.
Yes, sir.
And but I'll be trading it daily. Like I might not place a trade every day, but I'll be looking at it daily. And yeah, I do have a step by. Do you want the step by step?
Yeah, I mean, if you could talk about it, because a lot of people want to know, and they want to know what other people are doing that works for them,
that
right?
makes sense, yeah.
And then they, in addition to maybe also having their own principles, they want to be able to maybe compare it to see if there are any overlaps or any disjoints that they can maybe use to refine their own strategy.
Yeah, I mean, it'll get pretty technical though, so
hey man,
I'll just give it to you. First thing I do is I look at a monthly chart for the pair that I'm looking at, and I look at the general monthly trend, whether it's bullish or bearish.
Okay.
Or if it's indecisive. If it's indecisive, that's it. I'm already not looking at it. Actually, sometimes I might, but generally, like, that'll be it. But I want to see whether it looks clearly bullish or clearly bearish. So clearly going up, clearly going down.
Okay.
Then I'll look at the weekly. I'll try to see the same thing, but on the weekly, in addition to looking for a direction, I'm also looking for a zone.
Okay.
Zone is just a general price area, like price level. It could be like price range. I mean. Yeah. Where based on like previous price action, this zone to me could be a place where price could react from, which means like if it's going down into that zone, you might see a reaction up.
Okay.
The strength of that reaction can vary depending on like what it looks like and stuff.
Okay.
And like the timing of it. But
Yeah.
I can start to look for zones on the weekly chart, but I would also look to confirm the monthly like bias, the bias being like bullish or bearish. Once I got that on the weekly, and I generally want to have at least one zone that I'm targeting. And it could be like I want to trade. So for example, if price is going up, there's a zone up here.
Yeah.
It could be that for the next couple weeks, since I know that price is going to gravitate towards this zone, I'm going to be looking for buy opportunities on this pair until it gets to that zone.
Okay.
Or it could be I want to wait until it hits this zone and then see if it reacts there and then sell it. Look for selling opportunities at that zone. It could be either one of those two.
Okay.
But depending on which situation I've found myself in at the moment, then, well, I'll move on to the 4-hour chart. And in the 4-hour chart, so on the 4-hour chart, I will start to mark like, so there's one aspect, there's price. The other aspect is time.
Okay.
So vertical, horizontal. Right?
Yeah.
And these are all the things that I look at weekly, monthly is all like price.
Okay.
Like price levels, right? And price trend. On the 4-hour, I'll start to look at the time aspect, and I'll mark like the beginning and end of each week.
Yeah.
Which is a beginning is essentially an end because it's like continuous.
Yeah.
And let's see. I'll look at like the more recent, like maybe few weeks on the 4-hour, and look at price action and mark any zones that I see. So the zones could either be like, there's various concepts that I've learned over the years that I kind of like combine.
Yeah.
But essentially it's just if I see something, so it could be a, what's it, I don't even know what it's called, like, because I learned it as just like a BFI buy zone, but that's not like, people wouldn't understand what that is. That's, I guess it's like a supply or demand level.
Okay.
So I look for supply and demand levels, or it could be, I've seen it called like an imbalance zone or a fair value gap.
Imbalance zone.
Imbalance zone, I think the more common term is fair value gap.
Okay.
So I would look for a fair value gap. It could be a fair value gap. It could be a supplier demand zone. It could be like a simple support and resistance if I feel strongly enough about it because of the context, because it's all contextual.
Yeah.
And this is what because it's also highly intuitive. Like I was telling you the other day.
Yep.
Like my strategy isn't like exactly like this, and this. It's like, it's because of the things that I've learned over the years. Like I can see a certain pattern, and it's not even like pattern like bullish engulfing or some shit. Like a pattern that you would learn. I'm just saying like a pattern you would see on an IQ test. You know?
Yeah.
Like, does this match this?
Right.
Like, is it just some abstract shit? And I can identify situations like that because I've seen it for so long. So it's more like that. Like I see a pattern that kind of clicks with me intuitively. But I do generally look for the things that I've said that I just mentioned.
Okay.
As like a guide, like a starting point. You know.
Okay.
So I'll do that on the 4-hour, and then so when I'm actually, and that's as far as my analysis will go, like my pre-trading analysis.
Okay.
Once I'm actually trading, then I have like a big ass monitor with 3 charts on it. 4-hour chart, 1-hour chart, 15-minute chart. 4-hour chart, I'll just keep an eye on the zone that I've already like marked because I've already marked it all at this point.
Yeah.
1 hour, I can look for imbalance zones there as well because there might be an imbalance, a fair value gap on the same thing, fair value gap, imbalance zone. Just to be clear. I'm gonna call it fair value gap. So there could be a fair value gap on the 1 hour that wasn't seen on the 4-hour. So, and sometimes that's an opportunity, so I'll mark that just to be aware of it. And then on the 15-minute is where I generally like monitor like daily, like when I'm actually trading, because that's a more like fine, more precise like time frame. For every 4 candles, 15-minute, you have 1 1-hour candle, so you just get to see like more of fine grain of like what's going on.
Yeah.
So I'll look for an entry, and these days my entries are like pretty bold because I've gotten good with like risk management.
Okay.
So, oh, actually, so another aspect is in Forex trading particularly, there's 3 or 4 trading sessions. There's the New York session, London session, and like the Asian session.
Yeah.
Which there's also like the Sydney session, but a lot of people just combine the two, the Asian and Sydney, just because
Okay.
it's so like.
Same time zone.
It's
Similar.
not exactly. It is around the same time, but like they're both like very low liquidity.
Okay.
So like you generally wouldn't even like be trading during those times anyway. But yeah, main session times are the London session and the New York session.
Okay.
So I'm on the West Coast, so the London session. For me, well, there's this guy called ICT. I'm sure if anybody's looked into Forex trading, they might have stumbled upon him at some point. He teaches that there's the London Open, which is from 11 p.m. Pacific time to 2 a.m. Pacific time. And then there's the New York Open, which is from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Pacific time. And then there's the London Close, which is from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay.
So those are the trading sessions that I trade. I trade all of them. And if there's a trade outside of those times, I won't take it. I'll only take the trade if it's within those time windows. Yeah, there's a lot to explain, man. but
Okay, well, I mean, so how long does it take you to do the pre-analysis, right?
Pre-analysis,
Where
like 5-10 minutes, maybe.
5-10 minutes to do all the stuff that you just described.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like it's that shit. It sounds complicated, but like that's just because like it's all the years that I have of experience, like that I've accumulated all this. Like to me, it's like I just look at it and it's obvious, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't have to spend that much time on it.
Man, that's interesting, man. Because
Yeah.
all the stuff that you described to me, I'm sitting here thinking,
Like, how long does that take?
Yeah, man, even with all the advanced math that I can probably muster up if I were to try to understand all the stuff that you were talking about, I'm like, man, 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. Okay, and then how, typically, what are the time frames, that you may hold a pair or
Hold a trade for?
Yeah.
Let's see. It could be, depending on how quick it's moving, it could even be like 15, 20 minutes, but that's rare. I say most of the time it'd be like a few hours at least. Sometimes it'll be a couple days, generally within that range, like a few hours to a couple days,
Yeah.
around that time.
Okay. And the other thing would be like, what metrics do you use to measure performance?
Obviously there's overall like profit loss.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I say that's the main thing, like are you up or are you down? But the important thing is just if you're looking at it like what scope you're looking at it from. Like you could say, am I up today or down today, which is
Okay.
kind of irrelevant, like a daily profit loss.
Yeah.
I'd say more like over a couple weeks or over a month, like if I'm up or I'm down, that's what I'll look at.
Okay.
Because there's a guy named Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone, book he wrote, a lot of books he wrote.
Yeah.
But he would talk about like, it's not about like a single trade, it's about a series of trades.
Okay.
Like because it's a probability game, like, and when you're looking at probabilities, like if you're looking at what's a single coin flip, like it could be heads or tails, but like
Doesn't say much.
yeah, it doesn't say much. Or if you're looking at a weighted coin flip and you're trying to figure out the weight of it,
Yeah.
like which one heads is how many percentage of the time, tails is how many percentage of the time. If you flip it once, it's not gonna tell you anything.
Yep,
You gotta
yep,
flip
yep.
it a million times. right?
Yeah.
So,
The law of large numbers.
exactly. So, so yeah, like I guess I look at my performance, my profit loss over a couple weeks, few weeks, a month
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah. Are there any tools or strategies that you use to manage risk?
Yeah, that's like the most recent thing that I added to my methodology is a clear risk management strategy.
Okay.
And it is, let's see, it is a conservative start. So I start by risking 0.2% of my account per trade. And I ramp it up if I get a win. Actually, okay, so there's an initial balance, right? So you have 10K initial balance. Yeah, that's a nice dog.
Yeah.
So I have a starting balance.
Okay.
Let's say it's 100K. Let's say it's a fresh account, so it's the first trade I take. It'll be 0.2% the initial trade, the initial risk on the first trade.
Okay.
And if I lose that trade, I stay at 0.2%. If I'm ever below the initial balance of the account, I'm going to stay at my minimum percentage risk, which is 0.2% for myself. And then if I'm above my initial balance, then I can start to increase my risk, because at this point I'm risking profits, right? So it's not as big of a deal. And then I'll ramp it up from 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, all the way up to 0.5, which will be my maximum risk.
Okay.
If I ever win 5 trades in a row, that becomes my new initial starting balance. So let's say I won 5 trades in a row, now I'm at 120K. Now 120K is now my starting balance. If I ever drop below 120K, I'll drop my risk to 0.2%. And what that does is it flattens the equity curve, because it gives you potential for great gains.
Okay.
But it stops the potential for great losses, because anytime you're losing, essentially, like you've cut your risk to like a minimal amount where it's like not even. So wins could go like this, right? And then let's say you hit 5 wins, then it flattens out, and you start losing, it'll just gradually decline. You can never go like this.
Okay.
Because that's what's dangerous. Yeah, that's what's dangerous is big losses. There's another source. I didn't really learn much from them, but I heard this cool like thing that they taught. But I went to this conference, or not conference, like what's it called, like a seminar.
Yeah.
And they said in trading there's 4 possible outcomes. There's a big win, a small loss, and a big loss. And he said success in trading is all about eliminating the possibility of a big loss. And that's how I do it, is by having those risk factors and taking those actions.
Okay. So, I mean, could all the nuances that you just described, right, the whole process, the strategy, your risk management, if all that were to be distilled in a book, to what percent, would you say that you would capture everything that you know in that book?
Everything that I know. Does that also include my perception? Because
your perception, what, like you just said, you can look at those charts, within a matter of 5 to 10 minutes and be able to know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, so trading and understanding like the level of intuition that I have developed with the charts has made me appreciate like any sort of like dedication to a craft that anybody could do. For example, like a chef. Think about it. I mean, the question you're asking me is the same question. Like, imagine if there was a master chef and they wrote their recipe down precisely, step by step, every ingredient very finely measured, every step like by the second, every second. You think somebody could look at that book and create a fucking dish just as good as that master chef?
Probably not,
Exactly.
man.
So, I mean, I don't know, maybe like 50%. I would say 50% just because, I feel like I trade 50% intuitively, 50% technically.
Okay.
So, yeah, but a big component of it is your own like experience and intuition, huh?
And then you mentioned the different time zone, right? The London and then the New York. So I remember at a certain point you had mentioned to me about creating a bot, that was gonna do the trading for you when you were asleep, so that you wouldn't have to stay up all night to, monitor these charts. What became of that project?
I did it. I had a bot that I feel was somewhat successful, but it wasn't completely independent. It required some human input.
Okay.
For example, all it required was for the person to tell it whether you wanted to give it a bullish bias or a bearish bias, and then that would kind of change like the parameters they would look for. And yeah, so I did that for like a couple months, I think. Like I had the bot and I was like trying to make it work for a couple months. it was somewhat successful, but I wanted to be able to trade on my own.
Okay.
So I let that go. Like I probably could have worked on it more and got it to be more successful, but I wanted to have the skill, because I don't know. Let's see. I thought that it would be respectable for myself and important, like, I don't know, like to be a trader. Like, how can I call myself a trader if the only reason I'm a successful trader is because this bot does this trading for me? You know, even though I programmed it and stuff, but like, did I really like figure out trading, or did I figure out like programming a bot? And I wanted to figure out trading.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I changed my focus to manual trading.
Do you miss programming at all?
Do I miss programming?
Yeah.
I don't miss anything in life. So no.
Okay. Okay. And then more recently, you've moved over to is it Nevada?
Yeah.
Okay.
Vegas.
Okay. Good. Yeah, Vegas. All right. So, any differences, comparing Vegas to LA?
Yeah. I'd say Vegas people are actually more friendly than LA people. LA people are pretty fake. So more friendly. I guess Vegas people can be fake as well. But the thing is, their fakeness is like embraced.
Okay.
Versus LA people's fakeness is a little bit like shady, you know? Like they might even be in denial of it like most of the time.
I see.
But let's see. I don't know. I mean, I can give you like the general, because I haven't really explored too much just because I've been so focused on my things.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way I feel right now is like it doesn't even matter, like my location. Like anywhere I would be in the world, I'd be doing the exact same thing. So
I see.
It doesn't even matter where I'm at.
Interesting. Well, man, we could get ready to wrap this up. I'm sure, people who watch this are going to want to know any takeaways that you may have for them, right? Whether that be lessons that you learned from your school days, studying as a computer scientist, or working at Amazon and the startup that you mentioned. And more recently, even doing Forex trading. So if you can maybe sift through all those experiences and pull a couple of takeaways from that, what would be your takeaway or lesson for our viewers?
Man, honestly, like one of the biggest things that I've realized is like everything is contextual. Just like how I speak about the charts, like I could tell you algorithm step by step, but if the context isn't right, the algorithm doesn't apply. And actually, I think that happens a lot of the time when people are learning trading. So back to what you asked about, if you could write a book and learn from that book, you wouldn't understand the context. Like, oh shit, like, you could look at a YouTube video and look at a strategy that somebody's using that works for them.
Yeah.
But you don't know under what circumstances it works, and they might know because they've been using it for so long. Like, they might know on Tuesdays it doesn't do as well at 10 a.m. versus like on Wednesday night at 6 p.m. it might work better. Like, and but maybe we can compare this to life, but the problem is our measurement of success is binary a lot of the time, especially in trading. Like, did you win or did you lose? Did you lose money or win money? Like, those are the only two outcomes, you can't say like, oh, I mean, you could say I kind of won, like I won a little bit, but it doesn't get much different than that, like, did you win or lose? So the problem is that you do not understand if it's right or wrong, because you don't have a good like measurement of whether it's right or wrong.
Okay.
All you have is this binary. And let's see. So I guess to tie this back to life, like I think everything is contextual. Like let's say I adopted this dog, right? And and she's like a big expense. Like I have to buy all her stuff. I have to buy her food, her vaccinations, her, I don't know, her toys and shit, everything.
Yeah.
So damn, like that's a bad move, you know.
Right.
But is it really like I don't really know. How can I know if it's really bad or not? Like if I don't understand the scope, like what scope am I looking at it from? There's always another scope that you can look at things from, that it could be good, it could be bad, you know.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying about context. Like the context is always relevant. Like if you ask me whether you should do something, I can never tell you like the right thing for you because I don't know all of the scope of your life.
Right.
So there could be something that I'm unaware of that you might be unaware of, but like at the end of the day, it's the individual's responsibility to understand their entire scope, to understand all the things that are involved in their life and make the best decision for them at that time, because only they can see all of those things, because a lot of those things are internal, like maybe in your head, like, you know, you can't even share with other people, you know? So context is very important, and I think that to make any decision, to make a good decision in life, it takes complete evaluation of context.
Mm-hmm.
So, is that clear?
Yeah, that's super clear, man, to me. So I mean, before we even go, I really wanted to take this opportunity, man, to say thank you, man, because I remember last time I was here in LA, man, you and your mom, you know, threw a birthday party for me, man, and I was like the first time I've ever had a birthday party in my life, man.
Oh, man.
So I want to say, good looking, man. Thank you guys, and man, bro, words can't describe how I felt, man, to be at that party.
Yeah,
So
bro.
thank you, and hopefully, man, I'm praying and hoping to see more success, you know, over the years. And we just came from Sean Howard's freaking wedding, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully, you know, we get to live and experience those successes in our lives as well, where maybe, hey, who knows, at some point I get to come to your wedding, some point you get to come to my wedding, and we progress in life, man. But thank you, bro.
Yeah, bro. Thanks for having me.
For sure. Alrighty, man, that's a wrap.